Welcome back, everybody. It's been long awaited. We're here for the 27th episode of Post Hunt Clarity. And Ben and I found a guest, actually. So we have AJ here with us from Deer and
Yes.
Degrees. So welcome, AJ. AJ, where are you from?
Good to meet you guys. Thanks for having me. I'm actually originally from Pennsylvania and moved down south to Kentucky for school and could just never leave. The deer are a lot bigger here, so between that and you know the girlfriend, it's hard to
Sure.
leave. So I absolutely love it here.
Makes it easy to stick around somewhere, huh?
It sure does. Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Well,
No kidding.
so
Now, where y'all?
go ahead, AJ. You're good.
No, I was again. Where y'all calling in from? Y'all aren't together, are you?
No, I'm up here in northern Wisconsin, so about 12 hours from where you guys are at.
And I'm Cincinnati, but Kentucky side of Cincinnati. So I'm not too terrible far from you, probably an hour and a half. I don't know what side of Louisville you're on now, but not too terribly far. So
Yeah, no, not at all.
So AJ and I, for our viewers, kind of met. I guess we haven't met until tonight, but we've been talking for what, like a year and a half now through social media. Your page popped up on my Instagram one day, and I'm like, this is cool. Like when I was in college, I went to school in Florida. I played college golf, and so I kind of gave up hunting for 4 years. And I remember that last year, I like had the itch so bad to get back into it. I'm like, I'm so ready to just move home and hunt. And I think it wasn't. Well, I guess it maybe it would have been a while after that I saw your page, but I'm like, I should have done something like this, like when I was in college, like, or immediately post grad, the prep for that. So we've been talking pretty much ever since, at least since I moved down here 2 years ago, I think, and been talking about doing a podcast basically since we met. And 2 years later, here we are. So
No kidding. It's funny. So when we were texting recently, I went back in our chat, was scrolling up whatever to see what we talked about, and I mean going back to like when I shot a deer, we're doing prep, shooting each other questions and whatnot. Like it, it really feels like I know you'll have to get
yeah,
together one of
dude.
these times. But
What's funny, I literally don't think I knew your actual first name though until like a week ago. Like, I don't think it's anywhere on your page. I didn't know your personal Instagram until you followed Post Hunt Clarity the other day. And I'm like, okay, it's AJ. I got it now. Like, every time I messaged you, I was like going to ask. And then I'm like, it seems like I should know by this point. So I'm just scared to ask. And so
oh no,
now I finally
try to
know.
I try to keep them separate. I don't know. I'm like weird about that. I really do like my personal life and love having this as well. And no man, I mean that's the whole reason why I started this. I thought I just trying to find people that share the same passion for the outdoors that I have. Like you said, going to college somewhere you're not used to, or I didn't want to just give up on hunting when I came to school. And I've always worked. I've worked full time when I was in school and thought I'm just gonna start making videos. Not many people where I went to school are big hunters and whatnot, and it took off so much more than I ever could imagined. And I stopped for a while. I wrapped up school, got a degree, and been working full time. And I was like, man, this is tough and all the time. But like that's why I started it. Of like, it's never easy. You'll never have time. And I played sport in college as well, and it's not easy. But I never want to give up on this passion, and want to meet people that care just like you guys do. And even Gabe was saying how y'all met. It's just like unless you make an effort to meet people, you really won't make friends in the outdoors. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. It's like when you least think you're gonna meet somebody, it's here they come into your life.
Isn't that crazy how that always works? I feel like
Yeah.
it's not even with like, a YouTube thing, but I've had that happen to me with like multiple people that I'm close with in my network today. It's just like showed up, like example, the working class crew, right? Like never in my life would I thought I'd have connections in Tennessee and in Missouri and other parts of the nation. And all of a sudden, boom, like super close with those guys.
How do you think I
Yeah,
feel? I went to visit my girlfriend to have a beer at her job one night, and now I'm stuck hanging out with you all the time. And
Yeah, that's
I
true.
now I'm doing a lease with the working class hunter guys. So
really, you're on a lease with them?
yeah, so Gabe called me back in like December, maybe it was, and I had met those guys for his wedding in June. They came up to Wisconsin, and I actually rode back from the
Right.
airport with one of them. Well, I was just picking their brain and whatever, and they're super nice people. And Cliff Cantor and I kind of hit it off, and so he called Gabe about doing a lease. Gabe's wife is actually from Lexington, and her parents still live there. So he's like, "Hey, this is fairly close to you guys. Would you want in?" And Gabe's like, "I think it's just a little too far for me, but have you talked to Ben about it?" So he called me, and I'm like, I waffled a little bit because of the money at first, but finally I'm like, yeah, like 500 acres. This is what I moved down here for. Like chase bigger deer and like let's do it. And then Gabe's like, well, if Ben's in, I got to do it too. So
Right.
Well,
He
then
had
he's in on it too.
that maybe brings us
he had
into a
FOMO.
Yeah.
well, yeah, so this is the I'll tie this all in actually. So on the last episode, it was still December of last year. I had a lease in Wisconsin, and that lease is gone for all you guys wondering, all that work, all those videos I put into developing a property that really hadn't been hunted before to, new food plots, finally getting an inventory. With dreams of growing deer, and my deal with the landowner when I got that lease, I got it for really cheap, was that I have a pretty good network of people that do land management professionally, and I've gone with them on quite a few jobs and filmed some stuff. So I'm like, okay, I want to take a property that doesn't offer a whole lot, build this up over the next 4 or 5 years, hopefully, and create just like a deer mega. And then for the landowner, like if he ever had intentions of selling, he could get more for the property value. I signed this lease agreement. He's like, I don't ever have intentions of selling, but like that would be good for it. Literally, it was the week of gun season in November. I got a text from the landowner saying, "Yep, I'm selling the property." And I'm like, great. So I got the realtor asking me for all my drone photos, all my videos, all my inventory, trail camera pictures of big bucks or whatever. And so long story short, that property's gone. It's sold to another guy that I have now in my network through the industry that's also a YouTuber. So just weird shit happens in this world. This industry is so small, but
Where
now
are you
that
hunting?
lease,
Where are you hunting this fall?
yeah, it would be a mix of public, and I happened to meet a nice older gentleman through a friend of mine that had some land out here just east of town that said I could come hunt. So
That was awful nice of him.
It's funny you say that. I was on a phone call with a guy, literally 2 nights ago now, and we get to talking. They do a bunch of leasing, and he asked me like, what's your dream? What do you want to do? And I was like, I was always told growing up, the same thing. We leased a bunch. We ton of permission stuff, and you have some heartbreak. I mean, we've had spots we leased for 10 years, and second that contract's up, it's my dad always said, if it's not yours, you can't control it. And that's something that has stuck with me for so long, and I want nothing more but to own land of my own. So, like you said, manage and do what you want with, and you're not asking permission. Can I do this? Can I till this? And that's why it's so hard for me to pay for a lease. I don't pay for a single spot here. It's in a grind, and like we were talking before we started, like I've had stuff. It's crazy how much stuff is getting leased up. I mean, stuff smaller than like 100 acres I was paying for. I mean, again, it's not no top dollar property, but like I can't afford to drop 3 grand for a season or something. It's like a bunch of
Yeah.
guys going in together,
yeah,
and it's definitely a grind, but um, I'm just saving. I know one day I wanna raise my kids on land, and that's something that's so important to me. I don't know about you guys, but it's something that definitely it sucks. Losing to the Sharks. I lost one last year that had me sick. There was two deer that I think made it. I'm not sure. I still have permission to shed hunt it, and same thing. He said, "My grandson's buddy wants to." Hunt it now. And he gave me a couple bucks. I was like, well, what's a couple bucks? Well, it's more that it's a friend. It's not much. Not
Yeah,
much you can
no,
do with that.
that sucks. That's what where I was kind of leading with that is so my grandpa owns 120 acres in Rice Lake where I grew up and where Gabe lives now. And so when he lost that piece, I called my grandpa's 81 now, and like he's still in really good shape. Like he was
yeah,
out
he
there
is.
with Gabe the other day, like cutting trees down, and like he gets around well, but none of his grandkids are around anymore. And so I just called him and I'm like, hey, like he's met Gabe. I'm like, Gabe's looking for a place to hunt this year, and would you be fine with letting him hunt? And he's like, yeah, if he wants to help me put in my food plots or whatever, like I'd be happy to let him hunt. So but he's been talking about he's had a lot of people reach out to him asking if he wants to sell or whatever now that, none of his grandkids and stuff are around. And I think he said to you, Gabe, a couple weeks ago, he's like, the one thing they never make more
Yeah,
of, and that's land. He's like,
dirt. Yeah.
I'm never selling this place. So
No,
it is.
he was hell bent on definitely not selling, which is a good thing. I don't know if he'd go as far as to like chain himself to one of those big oak trees in there and say over my dead body, but he's about right there, which is I respect the crap out of. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, AJ, we should probably talk about you a little bit. So, I guess for those that don't know, and I don't know that Gabe and I really even know that much, give us a little bit about kind of how you got into hunting, how you started Deer and Degrees, what the page is all about, and yeah, just kind of your summary of everything.
Yeah, it's a little bit about me. I'm originally from outside of Philadelphia and came down south for school and just never left. I grew up hunting my whole life. My dad introduced us to the outdoors at a young age. Did a ton of waterfowl. I have tons of pictures of, we had permission on the field next to us and across from us growing up, and we had double stands that we'd be squeezing into about as old as you could. And I remember going out, for my first time, still hunting those same exact stands. It was just something, I always was raised with a crossbow. It's just, what we did. We don't live in an area where you can gun hunt or anything. And, I came down here and hunted 1 year in college with a crossbow, and I was like, I wanted to switch to compound as soon as possible. And from then, I just fell in love with it. It's such a rush. I mean, I even bow hunt during gun season. It's everybody's laughing at you, but it's that rush of having to do that close. It's just something that's so unrepeatable in any kind of hunting. And even, I mean, I do a ton of turkey hunting. I got into that when I came down here. That could be a whole another story, but I never turkey hunted growing up, and it looked like dinosaurs walking through the field. So I was a sophomore, and same thing. Just I talk about hunting enough to just meet the right people eventually. And in our college house, like we would all hang out, and my girlfriend's friend was over, and she's like, "Well, if you want to turkey hunt, like, just talk to my dad. He's like, he's got all daughters. He'd love to have you out, come down." Met this guy at 4 a.m. in his driveway in the middle of the dark, and we ended up not getting one. We drove around. There's a turkey in the middle of the field. I tried to creep up on him. I was like, "Oh, I've watched all these YouTube videos. I'm gonna call.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
gonna come running towards me." So I call. I go to sit up to shoot him. He's like 60 yards, and I figured he's gonna come walking in at like 40. Sit up. He's hightailing the other direction.
No, yeah.
And from
Yeah.
then on, I was hooked. Last couple of years, I've been lucky enough to get a couple birds, and yeah, and I mean that really kicked off Fear and Agrees was that fall of that turkey season. I was like, I was working full time at school. I was playing a sport, and I was like, I'm done being like embarrassed that people seeing me talk or whatnot.
Sure.
So, what's the worst that could come out of this? And just, I didn't have a bunch of buddies or anything at school that hunted the same I did, and being able to connect with people all across the country. I mean, the amount of opportunities it's provided for me and people I've connected with. You know, it's been a really cool ride, and I keep at it as long as I can. And yeah, so I graduated
So
school, bought a house out here, and first thing I did was this was an old nursery. I turned this nursery into
yeah.
a
Really?
man cave. So yeah,
That's
figured I'd get
funny.
that in while I
It
can.
looks good though. I mean, you got a pretty sweet trophy room. You got a lot of trophies in there too.
Yeah, thanks.
You got a lot of
Last couple of years I've been hunting nonstop, uh, and
He's been doing some
we had
damage.
yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. This was last year. This is my biggest. I taped at 152, and last year's tough. I got busted opening day on a. It was actually we thought it was mainframe six. I'll send you a picture of that. He had the biggest frame six. I mean, biggest frame deer I've ever seen. He just towered over every deer, and it he busted me opening day. I was sick to my stomach, and I basically just chased my tail the whole season and rattled him in like late November. It's just something out of a movie. He came in all necked up, buffed up, and no, I appreciate it. We put a lot of work in here, and definitely y'all come down, maybe hop on my podcast one day. We'll just drink some
hell
creek
yeah, we
water
will.
and sell some lies or whatnot. But
Yeah. Was that buck? I don't remember, AJ. Was that Indiana or Kentucky?
that was Kentucky. Yeah, this one was.
Okay.
I've only shot actually this buck. I've only shot one deer in Indiana,
Okay.
but I like hunting it so much more. I really do like the no baiting. It weeds out
Unnatural
a lot of
movement.
guys. So yes, yes, and they just hunting where it's nothing out there. The deer do what they're supposed to do. I mean, it's like especially with that season opening not till October. This year, I've totally changed how I'm gonna approach it. Of like, I was watching the biggest deer of my life in July and August last year. I mean, like stuff that makes me sick to my stomach. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna whack them. They disappear, and it's like they actually move into whole different spot for the rut. You go through the October lull, and then you have 3.5 weeks where they start hitting scrapes, and that's what I've turned to a lot. Is like I'll run all my cameras. I mean, I'll do a couple on trails if I can find a scrape or make one. That's the only thing I'm really hunting over. and just those videos are like to die for. I mean, even then, like if you can just find a community scrape or something, that's like my bread and butter. I mean, nothing fires me up more than check your phone every day in November and just you know,
Different deer, big
Yeah.
different deer.
It's,
yeah,
it's funny you bring that up because like, Gabe and I talk about that a lot, like, just trying to find scrapes, like, even during the non-scraping times of the year, like, if you can find a community scrape or whatever, like, that is the best thing that you can do because you get so much activity and it's funny you bring up the whole no baiting thing too because that's, like, where Gabe and I are from, you can't bait. Like, growing up, you could throw I think you could put out what
2
was it, Gabe?
gallons.
2
2
gallons
gallons
per
per 40 acres, yep.
for 40 acres of corn, and they
wow,
banned that, what, 3 or 4 years ago now? Like, it's been a few
So
seasons.
yeah, so a quick debrief on that is Wisconsin baiting is legal, but it's by county. And if your county has detected a CWD deer, they close the baiting for 3 years. So there's technically only six
wow,
counties
3
left in
years.
the state out of like 50 some counties that allow baiting, and they're all up north. So
Yeah.
like the county I live in, you can't bait in. The county above me, now you can. But it like each county kind of pops in and out of whether it's legal or not every year. And then typically, if that county becomes legal, the DNR will find a way to like, oh, hey, it's early October. We found a deer with CWD. Baiting's done. And, it's another 3 year lapse. So I wish the state just did it one way or the other. Either yes, you can bait or no, you can't bait.
Yeah, but I still, like, moving down here, that's what everybody does, like you were saying, AJ, and I just, like, still
It's
haven't
so crazy.
adjusted
Coming
to
from
it.
Pennsylvania, I
Yeah.
watch guys, out there with 250-pound bags. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
that's insane. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure we do a bunch of hiking for sheds, come across. This is just,
Big
Yeah.
automatic feeders or whatever they are, just dishing out corn it gets expensive. Like,
It
it's
does.
it's a whole debate in and of itself whether, like planting food plots, the time, all that jazz, like versus throwing out bait. It's more manual. Like I'd rather be out there less, not replenishing a bait site. But I'm also not gonna lie, like I have killed deer over bait growing up during the gun season. So, I've had
Yeah.
it both ways. I think my preference is natural movement because I've had so much experience. Like I went to an outfitter in Kentucky a few years ago for a river's edge hunt, and they all hunted over bait was what they did, right? But it was very apparent that one, the deer would not show up until like the last 10 minutes of daylight, and then they're also like walking into the bait, super spooky, super on edge, like just paranoid. Which when you're hunting natural movement, you get a lot less of.
yeah. I mean, I definitely noticed that with the third deer. Like one last year, that big six, he was always the last one to come in. He would circle all the way around. He would, all these little deer would come up. He kind of, I had a picture of him for like 2 weeks, like 100 yards behind the camera. You just see an outline of him. And then, it really, I don't think, I don't know. It definitely is, they're not dumb. They don't get that big being dumb. But now, are y'all
Yeah,
big,
Gotcha.
going back to the scrapes, are y'all, right where I'm looking for, are y'all set on using, one scent or one brand? Or I've been trying different stuff for the last couple of years now, and the biggest thing I've noticed is it doesn't matter what you use. If you find an existing scrape, they're gonna come back to it. Making my own, I mean, they'll hit it. I've had them, hit it and pick it up, but nothing compares to just finding one that already exists.
I
I
have a I
yeah.
have a I have
Go
a
ahead,
good
Gabe.
answer for that. I am pretty sold on one particular brand for making mock scrapes, and that is me kicking the dirt and myself pissing into the scrape is what I've
Yeah.
found works the best. I'm
Yeah, I
not
just
buying anything. I am breaking
no.
a little branch off and peeing in the scrape myself, and
Yeah, that's
I've
that's
seen
what
it work
I've always
wonders.
done. I've never screwed around with it. I've played with some, like, doe and estrus during the rut, like, dragging that in behind me and stuff, but that's really the only, like, sense I've ever really used, and the only reason I've ever really tried that is I had one experience with, the grandpa I was talking about a few minutes ago, where I was, like, 12, and, I've got no clue what I'm doing out in the woods, and he takes me and puts me in a blind, and he's like, "Alright, I'm gonna tie this to my boot and drag it in," and I had a big 8-pointer come in on a string down that line where he walked, and ever since then, I'm just always I know it probably doesn't really help that much or work that much, but every once in a while when I, like, need to stir things up and I'm like, "Alright, the rut isn't going well," I'll pull some of that golden estrus out, and I'm like, "Alright, grandpa, like, bring me
Oh
one
yeah,
in," but,
that's such an old school thing. I mean, I've heard that my whole life. I feel like of like same thing, tying it to your boot or dragging it behind you or something, or spraying the bottom of your
Yeah.
feet. That was one that we
Yeah.
did grind
Yep.
out. But
Yep.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, as far as scrapes go, like I've always just kind of opened something up in a spot that looks pretty obvious that a deer would scrape, and I do the same thing. I just take a leak in it.
Yeah,
What about
that's
you?
funny.
Are you a scent guy?
I mean, like putting cameras on stuff, I try to freshen it up, and like I said, I haven't found something I'm like dead set on. Like, holy crap, this made a huge difference. And I've had pretty apparent when you find a community scrape of every buck from spike to like one of the biggest bucks of my life all hit the same scrape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do like to make it obnoxious. One thing I've been doing the last couple of years is I'll either, big Oaklands or something, I'll break them off and carry them with me. And then I'll pack zip ties in and anything to make that just stick out all the more obnoxious.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah,
I've
that's
noticed made.
you don't do you, have you screwed around with like ropes or anything? Like a hemp
No,
rope or
see,
any of that?
I haven't, and I don't know. I just feel as like it's like not natural. I don't know. I feel like that. I mean, guys love it. It makes sense. A lot of videos I see of deer making scrapes, at least on my cameras, is they bite the limb with their mouth, and they're pulling it so it's scraping their forehead. And that just I see that in literally every other video. So it's hard for me to be like, he's not going to do it with a rope. And like it makes sense. It's more obvious. They're playing with it. It's in that gland, but I have not. So every
Yeah.
year I'm tempted. I've people that tell me, send me, dude, use this one. Here's the code. And I don't know. I haven't been sold on it yet. But
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you've played with them, Gabe, but it's one of those things I've always just kind of been like, well, the more natural it can be, the better. So I've never played around with them either. I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other because I've
I
never
don't either.
tried it. But yeah, I've never really played with them. But
well,
So
go
no,
ahead,
I was
Gabe.
gonna say Ben and I. It's funny you brought up scrapes right away because Ben and I in our over the last 6 months, Ben and I have been trying to build this post hunt clarity course for you guys as viewers. This is the first time you're probably hearing about it, but we've been working real hard on putting together a membership platform that's educational based. And one of the things we harped on over the course of like 3 or 4 different videos is how important not just scrapes are, but understanding fresh scrapes and how deer use scrapes. And I think there's a little bit of a lack of education on that. So it was one of the topics that we really tried to cover. And I just thought it was super funny that you brought it up right away that that's like your rule to live by is like, hey, I'm not using, bait. I'm not, hyped up about a whole bunch of other stuff, but I am super, attracted to scrapes. And that's your style of hunting.
Yeah, no, it's and we brought that up right when we hopped on the call, and that's really what made me reconnect with Ben, spark up a conversation. Is you guys really put out a great like elevator pitch video of what you were doing, and it caught my attention so much because that could not have described me better a couple of years ago. Like moving down here, I was by myself, no permission, no gear. I had all this crap that's in this room was in my tiny college apartment that was a shit show, and I was a Facebook Marketplace demon trying to find the cheapest stuff to either fix up or like, I had no idea what I was doing, and y'all put it on the spot, and I was really excited to learn more about it. And again, it sounded like it was like a subscription based business model, and that interests me as well. So yeah, I would love to learn more a little bit about what you guys are doing and what the course looks.
yeah,
So
so I mean, for you, AJ, I know you're curious to learn more, but I think this is the first time we've kind of talked about it on the podcast too. So we should probably explain it, Gabe. What we've really done is Gabe and I kind of came up with the idea that there's like, you've got YouTube, but there's really nobody that teaches you how to start how to start hunting from start to finish. Like everything you needed to know if you're starting from square one, or even for the guy who's like, I have hunted for a few years or I've hunted for a long time, but I've just never been that successful with it. Like, what are the things that I'm missing to be more successful? So Gabe and I are like, we should come up with something like that. Well, through that, we kind of had the idea of like, if you're a new hunter, how nice would it be to save money on gear? Can we create like a preferred partner program where if you're a member of Post Hunt Clarity, you get access to all of these brands discounts at a much higher percentage off than just like a sign up for our newsletter and get, 10% off our first order or whatever. So we've kind of taken that and combined everything together. We've got 2 courses as of right now, and we're going to keep building on that. But we've got an intro to hunting, and then and intermediate level hunting. So the idea is if you're an intermediate level hunter, obviously you can start right there. If you're a new hunter, you can start with the new course and then graduate to the intermediate course. And then we have been, I think, I would say pretty pleasantly surprised, Gabe, with the response we've gotten from companies for discounts. Like I'm pretty impressed with our partner list right now. So I think we have
Well, and
16 on board. I counted today. So
in one
yeah,
way we framed it, AJ, because like when Ben and I like we started Post Hunt Clarity's podcast, right? Because him and I like I've done the YouTube thing on my hunting with Tourette's. I've worked professionally in the industry the last half decade. And Ben came to me. He's like, I got a lot going on in this brain of mine, and I don't have anywhere to share my thoughts. So let's start this podcast. So we did that, and it's like there are thousands of hunting podcasts that exist. There are thousands of YouTubers that are posting, killing giant deer and like habitat work and like how they're killing giant deer. But one thing that I think lacks is like, if we revert this back to the beginning of our conversation, like how you started hunting. I'm a fifth or sixth generation hunter. Everything I know was passed down to me from my dad, my grandpa. Ben's the same way. And we kind of had a chat thinking that there's a lot of younger generation hunters that didn't have dad to teach them how to hunt, or they didn't have the knowledge from grandpa. They're seeing this cool YouTube trend, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, where people are out in the outdoors enjoying stuff and they are starting almost at a level where they've skipped a bunch of steps. And like these YouTubers and people online just aren't ever spending time covering the basics. Like the basics are super important. And the topics we chose of like how to blood track, like not just shot placement, but why the shot placement is important. And like, we even dumbed it down to like, understanding basic deer sign, right? Like everybody on YouTube, like right now, if you're watching this podcast and you hear us talking about scrapes, like there might be somebody that's like, what is a scrape? Like what does that even mean? Right. Like
Yeah.
we pretty much went down to the basics. So it was like super digestible for people with very minimal knowledge and the beginner course at least. And then we talk about some more advanced stuff as they get through the course, but it's just something out there that I don't think exists in all my research that we've done. And I think we truly built it to be super educational so that people like when they join the course, like there's nobody that's complaining like, hey, I think I wasted my money. Like I think the course itself, people are going to be like, it's worth its weight in gold, but then add on that preferred partner discount and basically people are going to pay for the course and save more money just with
Right, I
what
was
they
gonna
save
say
on
it
discounts.
almost pays for itself, and you hit it on the nose of, it is cool to hunt nowadays. I mean, it's always been cool, but like you said, what the access you have to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, like it is, you see more and more. The hunting is so popular nowadays. Like it's something cool to do, and I think that's awesome what you guys are doing, and it makes sense. If someone didn't have that, figure growing up or getting into it for the first time, and that's really great. I can't wait to check it out, and I know I'll be, getting on there and look forward to watching some of these courses, and it's awesome that people are willing to work with you, and it shows. Like a lot of people think of hunting is just pulling the trigger, one part of it, but the conservation side is you know people
Super important.
and people don't realize, I think the biggest conservationists are hunters. And, you see all these, states charging more, and you take a second and follow these states on social media, you see the efforts going back into the program. And I think more and more people are starting to realize that is that, you hope it's going, your license cost is going to a good cause. But, like you said, it's so much more than like shooting a deer behind the front shoulder. It's like, there's a lot by it, and you don't want it, you don't want these animals to suffer or whatnot. So that's uh,
yeah.
that's really cool. I was super excited when I saw y'all were combining and doing something together, and I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, man. And we're trying to make it just super value driven too. Like we're going to do a private Facebook group so that people can network and like, if you get it, like if you're new to hunting or you're new to an area, it's like how nice would it be to have access to a platform where you've got, however many members we have, hopefully more than just a couple that you can actually talk to and pick their brain and like learn together, you know what I mean? So even just that aspect of it I think has a lot of value to it. So,
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and that exists for fishing. You see the apps like Fish Brain or this and that, where it's people connecting, and that's one reason why
yeah.
I wanted to start Gearing Agrees was networking. I value my career so much, and it's important to me just as much as it is hunting, and all the time looking to connect with or talk to your off with hunting work or sharing something.
Yeah. Not that we need to talk too much about work, but you're in finance, right?
Yeah. Yep. I got my bachelor's in finance and a minor in management, and just worked all through school, and that's one thing that again, circling back is like who means so much more than what you know, and I mean experience does matter, whatnot, but you see it firsthand. The most in college, at least, is when I saw it of like unless I'm going out and getting a bunch of experience. I'm not from here. I don't know
Yeah.
anybody or have any handouts, and I worked all through school and different stuff, and so yeah, so I'm still in finance now. I'm on the real estate side, and again, they're not making any more land, so understanding the value of that, and it taught me so much. And one day I want to own a bunch of my own, or own some rental properties and whatnot. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's what
Cool.
I'm doing now, at least.
Hell yeah.
So we're getting to that point in the podcast. I have a few questions, AJ, that I want to ask you, but I also want to give Ben a chance. I think Ben, you had some questions that you kind of wanted to spark AJ with, and then I got some that are kind of scratching at the itch here.
Why don't you fire away, Gabe? You sound like you got some you're ready to go on.
All right, AJ. So when would you say? How old were you when you first started deer hunting? Deer hunting specifically.
Deer hunting, I would say. I mean, I know I shot my first buck when I was 13, I think, and that's the only buck I had shoulder mounted, and he made it with me.
There you
Nice.
He
go.
made it
That's
so gross.
awesome.
So
It's a good first buck.
13. Yeah, it was crazy. It was me and my dad were laying underneath. We saw him from our house window across the street in the field, and laying underneath like evergreen trees, and yeah, saw him across those. It was unforgettable.
That's cool.
That's
That's like
awesome.
a
My first deer was a spike.
that's a that's a booner in Pennsylvania, I think too. That's like a giant for there.
Yeah, I mean it was downhill for a really long time, but
So
I've heard that my whole life.
So with that, would you say that to start off your whitetail career that you got basically everything you knew, everything you know now, for the most part came from learning from your dad, or was there a lot of trial and error involved with like how you developed as a whitetail hunter?
No, I mean, I would say everything is from my dad really until I moved here to school, and same thing. Even while I hunted growing up, everything I learned was in the woods next to us. And oh man, I mean, looking back, it seemed like the biggest piece of property ever, and I bet it was 12 acres. And I mean, I know it like the back of my hand. We used to even just looking back. I mean, me and my buddies rode our quads through there all summer. I mean, like
Yeah.
they're not like well, I didn't grow up die hard whitetail hunting or anything. Really when I moved out here to school and just be on my own, door knocking and stuff like that. That's been really the more trial and error when I've gotten to chase some of the more bigger deer in my life. But no, my dad taught me so much, and we don't get to hunt a ton anymore. I had him down. I put him on a turkey this year on a permission spot, and it's been probably 4 years since we hunted together. So
Sure.
that was pretty
That's
special.
cool. Yeah,
That was pretty special.
that's cool.
So what is one thing that you know now as a deer hunter that's super important to you that you wish you would have known your first year hunting?
Man, that's a good one. There's so many things I could think of that like we took seriously growing up that I didn't at first when I came up here. One being scent. I mean, I remember standing, hold the bow, hold the backpack, and my dad's like spraying me down with that. What's that stuff called? Whatever that like
Off buck
scent
spray or
killer
something?
spray.
Oh yeah, scent killer. Yeah.
And I mean stuff like that we did before every hunt. And then my first couple of years here, I remember I could make a song out of how many times I would get winged or deer blowing
Yeah.
all the way through the woods. Now, one thing I really wish I knew is like I don't know. I don't regret any of the deer I shot, but I would just shoot the first thing that came in. I mean, all
Yeah.
through growing up, and really wasn't, and that's just how our area is. I mean, I'm sure you guys experience in Michigan, it's like everybody hunts. You can't go door knocking without seeing tree stands in people's like backyards. And, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I gave the deer a little more chance to grow. But that being said, I don't regret shooting. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those guys who's like, you know, don't let that kid shoot that. But now I understand like it's really cool what being a deer can do, and just watching them. I mean, I could be up there without a bow and have just as much fun watching deer around me. And
That's one of the big things I learned is like I grew up and where Gabe and I are from is like
It's like Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the amount of people that hunt in Wisconsin is insane, and then particularly, like, the county I grew up hunting is, like, one of the poorer counties in the state. Like, it's brown, it's down. If a deer makes it to 3 there and you kill one, like, they fricking celebrate you
Yeah.
type county, and I finally learned, like, my first year out of school, I was or se second year back out of school, actually, I killed a buck in Wisconsin that year. I killed a pretty big buck in Kansas, and then I killed a pretty good buck gun hunting in Wisconsin that year. And finally, like after that season, I got to the point where I'm like, okay, like I understand the difference between like a nice buck and a mature buck now. And like I want to I'm to the point where I want to kill something mature, and it's cool to just watch as much as it is to harvest one. Like unless it really gets me going, I'm kind of to the point now where it's just like I don't really need another mount on the wall just to have it. And so I would agree with you. It's like, and that's one of those things you almost can't stream. Like you just have to have the experience of learning that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's gonna take 5, 6, deer or little ones, but like it is cool to see to start appreciating, like you said, a mature buck. And believe it, I've seen 8 points that are absolute bullies over like a 4-year-old that towers over him. It's just
Yeah.
bully the
Yep.
crap out of him, will run him off.
Yep.
So another question for you. What is one deer hunting rule that beginners hear all the time that actually is kind of BS in your opinion?
I got mine, but I guess
I
you're
do,
not
I do.
asking. I guess you're not
No, I do
asking
too.
me.
I guess I'll ask both of you because I have a hunch I know what you're gonna say based off your last answer, but maybe
Okay.
not.
These are good. What's one thing that they tell everybody? Yeah. Um,
Gabe's just this whole podcast is just a big marketing promo for Gabe.
No, it's
no,
not.
no.
It's just
That's there's no such thing as no such thing as bad publicity.
Right.
I don't know. I would say like there's so many guys that shit on like crossbow users, and I mean that's like what I grew up on, and I think maybe some things should be tweaked. But like people look down on like people use crossbows or something, or like it's a totally different different thing. But I don't know. I mean, do what makes you happy. I guess I would say. I mean, I know guys that only gun. I know like adults that only gun hunt, or like you know, yeah. I think maybe the season should be a little different, but like do what makes you happy. I'm trying to think about. I feel like there's a better one.
I
I don't
have
know.
an
What do
interesting
you got,
take.
Ben?
I have an interesting take on the crossbow point you just made, and I'm definitely not in the majority here, but I think using a crossbow in a lot of senses makes it harder. Like, and people are always shocked when I say that. And it's easier to make a good shot, but you have such a like, if you don't make a perfect shot, your chances with a crossbow go down just so much because like your penetration is so much worse. The arrows in the, or I guess bolt is in the animal for so much less time because they're shooting so fast. Like I just think to me, I've always wanted to shoot a compound bow because like you have when you make a marginal shot, like let's say you shoot it in the shoulder, you can actually like get through that shoulder sometimes. Whereas like with a crossbow, you got no chance. So hopefully I'm putting that into words in a way that makes sense. But like I've always
Was
kind
that
of been
was
like,
that
if people
was
want
that
to
your
shoot a
hot take? Was that
crossbow,
your answer to the question, or was that your
that was
rebuttal?
that no, that was neither. That was I just you brought up the crossbow point, and I'm like, it's good. Like I'm
Ben's
glad to
head was like, I gotta say it.
no, well, I'm glad to hear somebody else say that like they don't have a problem with crossbows because I feel like most vertical bow hunters are just like, get rid of crossbows. They're the worst thing for hunting. And I'm like, if people want to use a crossbow, who cares? Like, yeah, you can shoot a little bit further with them. Yeah, it's maybe a little easier to make a good shot, but like, and other things out the window, like you make a marginal shot on a deer, and I think you have a better chance with a vertical bow. So if people want to shoot a crossbow, let them. Like, who cares? I don't know. Again, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I just wanted to throw that point in there.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
My answer to your question, Gabe, what was your question?
It was what's one deer hunting rule that beginners hear all the time that's actually kind of BS?
You can't kill him from the couch. That was my answer.
No, really? Okay.
Hmm.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. I
What
mean,
about you, Gabe?
my,
You got like
Yeah, I was gonna go to scent control products to be honest. Like when I was a kid, same thing, with you where you were, my dad and, a bunch of my other buddies were like, you can't go in the woods without, you gotta shower, you gotta make sure your clothes are scent free, you gotta, spray down nose jammer, scent killer, like whatever it is. Like Dude, I don't even own that stuff. Like, yes, okay, I do have a bottle of nose jammer that sits in there for a rainy day when I'm like mentally distraught. But other than that, I'm like, dude, I bet I've wasted not thousands of dollars, but hundreds of dollars over my first 10 years of hunting buying scent control products and stuff. Cause I just think that like, we've talked about this plenty in the course, but like it's hard to beat a deer's nose. And I just, you can give yourself maybe a little bit of an upside, but I still think like if a mature buck gets downwind to you, no matter how much scent killer you're using, you're probably still shafted.
I
That
use
was
scent.
that was my follow up was, so are you a diehard wind hunter? Like if the wind's blowing the
Yeah.
wrong direction, you're not going.
Yep. So,
Yeah,
or I will adapt to the wind direction and figure out, like when I hunt spots, I always pick like an ABC spot based on like access and wind direction, just so I give myself options. Cause like if I'm hunting, a bedding that's to the east of me and I have a straight west wind, like you'd be stupid to go hunt that. You'd have to figure out like, can I get on the north side of it? Can I get on the south side of it without disturbing it? And then, where's the runway? Where do I think a deer's going to come, and put myself in a position that I'll hunt marginal wins if I'm in like desperation mode, or maybe I'm out of state where it's like, hey, it's do or die. But like on my own home turf for like, a lease property or permission piece, like if I don't have to blow it out, I go hunt somewhere else.
yeah.
What about you,
What about
Gabe?
you?
What about you, Ben? Is that where you live?
Yeah,
Big wind hunter?
I've really gotten big into like the last couple of years, especially like where we grew up has some good rolling hills, and then this part of Kentucky is starting to get probably not as much as where you're at. You probably have a lot more hills, but even this part of Kentucky is like a lot of rolling hills. Like the biggest thing that's helped me the last couple of years is thermals. Like just paying attention to where thermals are going. And so I'm pretty diehard on the wind too. Like I'll hunt a marginal wind probably more often than I should. But if it's a straight up bad wind, like I'm either going somewhere else, like Gabe said, or I'm just not hunting. But paying attention to thermals was one of the things that's helped me the most the last couple of years for sure, which I feel like kind of goes hand in hand with the wind.
Yeah,
So
no,
what
I
what about you?
think I want to change my first answer to probably the wind. Last this last year I started to take it seriously, and the hardest part for me is like I don't have a lot of time to hunt. I was just like I said, I was on a call with the guy. He's like, come November, he's like, I'm nowhere else to stand. It's like I'm working a full time job. Last year I was driving I get off at like 4 and be hitting the road to boogie up the hunt 2.5 hours. If I got there and the wind's blowing the wrong direction, sorry,
You're hunting.
I'm
Yep.
going hunting.
Yeah.
And I haven't been busted. Well, I will say I've been busted. I haven't been busted by the buck I've been after. Like that's what it's going to take for me to be like really have that same mindset. And I do it. Same thing. I'll go in. My favorite thing I've been doing is if I'm hunting a spot or scouting a spot, I like to take videos and be like, all right, here's my entrance. When's that way? I'll sit there. And this way I'll sit here. I will do that. I don't take it as seriously as I should. And I know, like deep down, I know it's really hard for, someone who has like all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then after 4 o'clock. I mean, it's what
Yeah,
it is.
I'm with you, man. I work for a company based in Central Time, and I'm one of like 4 remote employees that we have, and I'm one of 2 that are in Eastern Time. So we work 8 to 5 Central. I work 9 to 6. So I'm like
Wow.
I get Saturday and Sunday, and every once in a while. Fortunately, I actually work for my uncle, and he's a really big deer hunter. So every once in a while, like they'll let me sneak out early and go hunt. From the last 2 weeks of October through the first 2 weeks in November, but other than that, I don't get a lot of time. Gabe, he doesn't do anything. He just hunts all
Yeah,
fall.
I'm unemployed actually. So that answer, AJ, you gave me actually is good. Deleted my next question, which is, what's the dumbest thing that you have personally done in the woods that has actually taught you something?
Dumbest thing I've done in the world. Well, I mean, I've gotten down and gone after him. I mean, like I've climbed
Something.
down and been like, I'm not gonna kill him. I'm going to sit at a base of a tree or like to walk around the corner. That's pretty dumb. I mean, I've made some smorgasbord. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it, man. I'll say it. I've like packed full lunches in the stand. That's probably dumb.
I've done
I
that.
mean, I'll be up there
That's
making
him to a
I'll be up
T.
there making PBJ in the stand.
Gabe gave me shit a couple of years ago. We went hunting. It was opening day in Wisconsin. This was before I moved. And he's like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
you
I
brought
got
like
the
a Twinkie or something with the world's
no,
loudest rapper.
he's like, "Hey, I got this permission spot on a bean field. Like, you come sit with me. I'm gonna film you for the night." All right, great. So we get in there, it's like a 2-hour sit, and I've got like 4 different snacks with me, and he's giving me shit he's like, "Dude, like, we're here for 2 hours. You brought like 1,000 calories worth of food. What are you doing?" Like, and I'm like, "That's how I hunt, man. Like, I'm not gonna be out here suffering."
Funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I get bored. I need like a little Zen or like a pack of gum or something to be doing, or else I'm fidgeting too much. I guess that's another thing. I've switched the saddle the last 2 years and love it. I had ankle surgery in college. I'm a little uncomfortable, but like the amount of times I've been like busted by the first doe, 'cause I'm in there like this, or like
Yeah.
swinging in the saddle,
Yep.
like swinging back and forth. It's so stupid. And then you hear them wheeze, and now I'm just pissed off. I'm like, "Wow,
Yep.
I hate."
The old blow.
Yep. If she blows, she's gotta go.
Yeah, no, yeah, I
Have
haven't been like
you,
totally.
have you done any Western hunting, AJ, or have you like I actually I saw your story. I know you're looking into like an elk or mule deer hunt, but have you gotten to do any of it yet?
No, and I was waiting for you to toot your own horn. Actually, I was trying to get to that, Mister Female Muley, but
Pussy buck. The pussy buck.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's my dream. I mean, my dream is really elk or mule deer with a bow, and just like where it's packing, camping. That's my dream. And I've put in for elk in a couple states, and I'll probably keep doing that. And I would do an over the counter tag. I don't have like a ton of days off to take, and if I do, best
Yeah.
believe I'm taking all 10 days PTO backed up right to one another, and gonna do it. But I haven't, and I would love to hear about your experience. It sounds like once in a lifetime. That video y'all made was incredible.
It was a cool trip. Yeah. Gabe gets the credit for putting the good film together, but
Or the
the
spot.
the short version is what's that?
I said or the spot,
And the permission.
but
Yes,
it was fun. I'm
that was
glad.
you
Oh, that was
too.
permission.
Yeah, so Gabe got the condensed, but like still some of the detail version is Gabe got permission the year before me, and Gabe has a horseshoe up his ass when it comes to getting hunting permission. Like I don't know what he does, but he gets more permission than
Yeah, he'd
It's
be,
the
anybody
he'd be
I know.
doing he'd be
Tourette's.
doing he'd be
It's
doing something behind the scenes.
it's the
Right.
Tourette's. I think they feel bad for me. That's what my dad told me one time. It's like, dude, he's like, you get permission more than any. My dad's a land surveyor and he talks to landowners all the time and he still can't get permission. And he's like, I don't know if you show up at their door and it's the head bob and they feel bad for you or what.
So I drew this tag. It was kind of one of those trips that was just meant to be. Like it took Gabe 2 or 3 years to draw this tag, and I drew it my first time applying. And so we went out there. We had a great. I mean, we were seeing 100 deer a day. I mean, there's just mule deer everywhere out there, and we had a great stalk the first morning on the buck I killed, or doe I killed, I guess. We got to like 70 yards and we're like, yeah, it's pretty, it was really windy that day. And I'm like, I just don't want to shoot that
Yeah.
far in the wind. And we got a lot of time to hunt. Like, let's go somewhere else. And we ended up stalking it and busting it 2 other times throughout the week. And the night we killed it, we were on a giant before that, like probably an upper 160s mule deer. And Gabe and I had, it was on the neighbor's piece that we didn't have permission on, and we set up on the fence line. He was like 150 yards away. We had one sage bush we could sit in. So we literally we walked in like 4 hours before dark, and we're like, we're gonna have to just hunt this like it's a whitetail. Like we're gonna have to just wait for him to cross the fence because we knew he was coming back to our side that night. And all of a sudden, like earlier than we expected, the first doe pops out and she busted us. We're like, shit. And all the deer busted out of this cut. And we're like, well, what do we do now? We
Yeah,
had this
because it was like the last hour at daylight and it was like, we
yeah,
don't have time to make a move. Like,
yeah. And we're like, well, let's go drive. Like, it's only Tuesday. We've got till Saturday. Like, let's go drive the cut or the loop, we called it. We had this like loop that we'd consistently drive. And we're like, we'll go do the loop on the north patch and we'll just see what we see. And maybe we can bed one down for tomorrow morning. And all of a sudden, it was like we had what were we calling that deer? The 3x4.
yeah, the three by
The three
four.
by four, because we had seen it so many times, and all of a sudden we're driving the loop, and over on like top of the horizon we see this buck. We could see its frame, and so we pull up our glass, and we're like, oh, it's the 3x4. Like here we go. And so Gabe's like, well, do you want to make a move on it? Do you want to bet him down? I'm like, he's in the one spot up there where we can get to him and kill him. And so we literally parked the truck, sprinted like 300 yards, got in there. I'm like crouched down. He's locked onto us. I'm like crouch where your legs falling asleep, for like what felt like 20 minutes. And finally he gets off of us and I scoot forward a little further and he locks back onto us. And finally he turns his head and I stood up and drew. And it was one of those, I didn't really know I was going to shoot until I was like ready to shoot. I'm like, I know he's 91. That's pretty far. Like I'd practiced out to 120 before that trip, but my plan was I wasn't going to shoot further than 75 or 80. And it was calm and I'm like, I'm not that nervous right now. Like all of a sudden it was like something switched in my head and I'm like, all right, let's go. This thing's dead. And I just locked in and it was funny, Gabe, after the fact, he's like, I was just praying you were gonna let that arrow fly. And I
Yeah.
remember I shot and it felt like that arrow was in the air for like 5 minutes. And I'm just watching the arc and I just watched it bury in it. And your arrow's dropping so much so fast from that yardage that it looked like I hit him low to me, like to the eye, and Gabe knew right away that I pinwheeled him. So I'm freaking out and like I hit it low. Like he's like, that deer's dead. Like you smoked him. And we got up there and he didn't go 100 yards. I mean, he was right there. So it was pretty sweet. But
It's awesome.
yeah, man,
Yeah, I
if
mean,
I grew up like pretty like whitetails are my thing. Like this is what I love to do.
Yeah, you
And
didn't
like
really have a desire, I feel like, to go until we actually applied.
yeah, and now it's literally all I wanna do. Like, we just found it we put in for North Dakota again this year, and I wouldn't have had the time to do it this fall, but I was still disappointed that, like, I didn't draw a tag because 'cause I'm like, "Well, I'll drop everything if that's what it takes to go back out there." Like, it's just so fun.
did you have a good now? That's just a tag. It's not like a unit. That's totally
Yeah,
separate. Like,
North Dakota is just a tag, so you can buy an over-the-counter whitetail tag, but if you wanna your mule deer tag is actually an any deer tag. So we had
Any
kinda went out
species, yeah.
yeah, any species. So we'd kinda went out with the like, we were after mule deer, but I kinda had the idea, I'm like, "Okay, if I get a 160 whitetail in front of me, like, probably gonna shoot it." But yeah, it's just a theirs is just a true lottery, isn't it, Gabe?
Yeah, so there's no preference point buildup. You have to apply. In like this year, him and I both were unsuccessful. So you get a bonus point that you then get to use, for the next draw the following year. So you can't just opt out like Iowa, Kansas, bunch of other states. You can just buy a preference point, knowing that you're not going to hunt. Out there, you have to apply, and it's like I'm either drawing and hunting or I'm not.
But North Dakota's nice because I think you have to pay, like, a $4 conservation fee to apply, and that's it. So, like, if
Yeah,
you're
well, then there's like a
if you're looking for a state to do that in, it's a cheap one to try and build points and do. And then I think the tag was only like 300 bucks.
350, yeah, I think.
Yeah. So
But if you've never Western hunted with a bow for mule deer, I will
it's so
explain,
fun.
like, if you grew up and have only hunted east of the Mississippi, it's like getting addicted to crack cocaine. It's the same feeling. Like, if you don't want an addiction, don't do it.
Yeah, it really I went out there and was like, I just don't know, man. Like this is good. I was excited for the week. I was super excited to go, but I was like, I just don't know that like this is ever gonna, amount to what whitetail hunting is to me. And it's just so fun. Like it's so fun.
awesome.
So where are
That's
you
funny. So I
applying?
just literally just PA, West Virginia, Kentucky. I just did a couple this year. I'm not like doing anything crazy. I mean, I don't know anybody that like does it or would got anything to go. But if y'all want to go one year, I try
I'd
something. But
Yeah,
I'd go with you.
it's one of those things where I would say it's getting harder and harder to hunt out west as a non-resident. Each year, point creep is going up, tag prices are going up. They're lowering tag limits just due to overall management and populations and stuff. So, excuse me, if you ever want to try and go out west, I would spend some time doing it in your youth because it's one of those things. Like I told Ben, I'm like, even, we hunted a mix of public and private out there, but like, as we get older and things change and, landowners pass off and, land gets sent somewhere else, like the opportunities are only going to get less and less, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Trying to think. I had something else I wanted to ask you, AJ, and I'm blanking right now. Gabe, did you have any others loaded up?
Yeah, I got a few. So if a brand new hunter had one weekend to scout before deer season, what would you have them actually look for?
is it the weekend before opening season, or is it like
Yep, the
any weekend?
just the week before season.
And what they could what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, what would you personally tell them to look for? Like, if somebody came to you and say, "Hey, it's the week before season. I've never scouted before." Like, what should I go look for? What's the most important thing you think I should look for?
One of my like non-negotiables is just knowing the property I'm hunting. Now, I wouldn't say it's the best answer for like the weekend before, but I make an effort if I have permission to hunt that property, either shed season, I'll shed hunt till I die. Shed hunting, I get just as much fun shed hunting as I do, bow hunting. But it's like a non-negotiable to know the property I'm hunting, and I just say just walk it, just get out there. You'll see the trails. I mean, if you go the weekend before when everything's green, you're gonna see the trails stick out like a sore thumb. Even just sitting out there with binoculars, like that's great and all, and you'll see deer in the beans and whatnot. But you see them when it's light out, and you see them when they hit that one spot in the hill where you can see them from the road. But unless you put feet on the ground or going in there looking at rubs, scrapes, where the water is, where the funnels are, like stuff like that is you don't learn that from a. I do love maps. I spend a ton of time e-scouting, but like until I'm stepping foot in there looking at acorns hitting the ground or something, that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah,
You gotta put boots on the ground.
you must spend a lot of time e-scouting. He made a post the other day, Gabe. I bet he had like 3,000 pins on his Onyx that he posted.
Jeez, big Onyx guy.
It's
We like
Yeah.
Onyx.
So
I
AJ,
gotta I gotta clean it up, but yeah, it's an addiction. My girlfriend calls it my favorite game on my phone.
that's
Yeah,
We'll
funny.
be
the
anywhere.
the
And
Red X app.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
we were down at the lease this weekend, and you've met Jeff Howell, Gabe. One
Yeah,
of the guys doing the lease with us, AJ, he had never used Onyx before. And so we got him on it. Cliff had got him on it the day before, and he's like learning it and, asking what we're marking each pin at. He's like, which icon are you using for this one? And so we were talking about just how useful Onyx is. And he's like, dude, I'm going to start using this like when I go out to eat and stuff. Like I'm going to drop a pin on the restaurant and be like, all right, this place was really good. Like, and I'm like, yeah, it's like, the amount of times I use it for non-hunting stuff is crazy. Like my girlfriend and I are starting to look at houses, and there's this big house like a mile down the road from us that's like you got to see this place to even believe it. It's a mansion, and we were just curious, like who owns it and stuff. And I'm like, let me pull up on X.
yeah, that's
Sure
what I
shit,
do.
found them in 30 seconds.
That's what I do. We were doing that this weekend on the lake, looking at all the giant lake places, and I'm like, huh, I'm curious how many people are from Minnesota and Illinois that own lake places up here, and it
Right,
was like almost all of them.
right. So AJ, how many permission pieces or pieces do you have to hunt, and like what's that split up by like acreage wise?
I would say I'm probably hunting. Really, it's no more than like 4 or 5, and I would say 2 or 3 of them are, that will stick around, and then every year I lose 1 or 2. Every year you have someone that no longer wants it there, or knows somebody that hunts, and I would say they all hover between like no more than like 50, 60.
Oh, okay.
Now, occasionally in different states, you got more if it's more ag area, but really it's the smaller ones. And I've had buddies who, have started door knocking pretty hard, and they're like getting so discouraged. I'm like, you're going in like an urban area, knocking the only 75-acre piece. Like, yeah, someone's gonna hunt it, buddy. I hate to break it to
Yeah.
you, but I won't even waste my time if it's too good to be true. Someone hunts it or someone's asked to hunt it. I
Yeah.
try to think outside the box for like a lot of neighboring stuff. Like if it's that 175-acre one in the area, like if the house has a couple acres and I can explain to them how much I enjoy hunting and how I don't want to see deer get hit by cars and would rather harvest them. And it really is good for the population at the end of the day to have a healthy herd. And I try to reach that as much as possible. But
Yeah.
I would say it's no more than 4 or 5. And then by the time, I mean, I'm really picky about how or when I knock. Of like, I really only do it on Friday, Saturday, of like, good hours, kind of be respectful. And by the time you wait for that, you blink, and we're 2 weeks into June now, and it's like I'm doing this. I started that countdown series, and it's like even just thinking about like I don't have a freaking sight piece in my bow yet. I just got a slider, and I've been going crazy trying to sight it in, but like I got cameras to put out. I got farmers to check up on just from last year, and like you blink, some people lie. And then you got, believe it or not, not every day is full of hunting, fun hunting stuff. You got responsibilities.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I don't chase my tail too much.
your series has made me feel lazy because, like I said, we got this lease this year, and I have a couple permission pieces around here, and they're not anything crazy, but I haven't gone and checked up on landowners, like, I haven't put cameras out. I'm like, "I gotta get my shit together."
Yeah, no, time is valuable, that's for sure.
So did
But
all
no, it's
those
tough.
come
It's
from just door knocking?
a lot of 'em, and it's crazy. It was like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone out the door knock. I'll drive all the way out to the property, sit there at the bottom of the driveway and go, "Yeah, I'm good." Like, I believe me, I've been cussed out, I've been chased off, me and a buddy have been chased off with a gun, like, I got some real
Mm.
Really?
horror stories. But believe it
Oof.
or not, that's happened maybe twice, and then the other 95% of the time, I mean, I've made connections of people that are, like, for a lifetime. I mean, I
Yeah.
know people that send me Christmas cards. They're like, "Me and my girlfriend go bring cookies to around Christmas." Like, really awesome relationships, and met some awesome people. I had a guy who finally, I used to watch deer in this field and, like, buck, good buck. Finally, I saw him out there one day, and it was a long, like, farm gravel drive, just with a beware of dog sign, like your ultimate, like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need to knock it. And
Yeah.
drove back there, gave him the pitch. He's looking at me. He's like, "You drove by here a couple years now?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why didn't you ask last year?" And I was like, just nervous. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Go ahead. He's like, "I don't care." He's like, "Stop in and see me whenever you want. I'll be in the barn." And just like, I'll stop in and he'll talk my ear off all the time now. And it's one of my best spots. And
That's nice.
his first line was, "Why didn't you come last year?"
Right,
Yeah, isn't
yeah,
that
that
isn't that such a great feeling?
that always
Yeah.
makes you feel good. Do any of your landowners let you do anything like food plots or anything like that?
I don't push it. One of them does. My girlfriend's grandfather let me actually a couple years ago plant my first ever like plot, and I had so much fun. We both hunted over it together. She came out with me, so that was super special. And I love like I really did enjoy that, and I can't wait to do that on like my own property one day. But I really don't push it. I spend more time just like, and there's a couple spots where the permission is like where I have the most success is if it's a big house that has a fenced in backyard and they own like 50 yards behind the fence in like woods. I know guys that do like grow and go plots and stuff, and like they're not like filling up ground or anything.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really don't. And I want to get into it more. It's just not really something I like have time for or really want to do a whole lot asking for. A lot of the spots I have, it's like, yeah, you can hunt. Don't go back there raising a bunch of drama. Don't be pissing
Yeah.
neighbors off. Like,
Yeah.
there's some urban stuff that like I'm pretty, I don't want people
You're just
seeing me
low key about
walking
it,
in
yeah.
their house.
Yeah, it's hard to ask. I've never had luck with that on permission either of, them letting me really do it. I've got one piece where I maybe could because 'cause they're older and it's out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't even think they go out there. I don't think they'd know if I did. I would ask first, but I'm just it's too you can only do so much, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I have a buddy who absolutely kills your late season off like just throw and go plots. I mean, he'll like kick it up with his boot, ring, and then he'll just throwing a couple brands of really good stuff. That's just grow and grow, and it's
Just like
bringing some.
clover or what?
Yeah, just clover through like shady patch mix or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's some like random bundles of like bait stuff. It makes a difference. I mean, that's the biggest thing of some of the farms I'm playing now. Is the beans. It's crazy how good some of these tractors are that cut these beans of like it looks like dirt. I mean, it goes from like beans they're in it every day. Same thing. Watch them all summer. They cut that and they're gone. I mean, this
Mhm.
deer could be in the next county for all I know. They're like, dude,
Yeah, well, and I didn't realize I've talked about him out here a lot. My uncle's kinda like my hunting, like, hero, I guess, if that's a thing, like, he's who I learned a lot of stuff from, and he's got a pretty incredible property in Southwest Wisconsin, and as he bought it and started to do some food plots and stuff, like, he really started researching, like, just deer and how much they eat and stuff like that, and a mature doe will eat, like, 8 pounds of food a day, and, like,
well,
if bucks can't find food, like, they'll just go somewhere else, they're not gonna compete with that. So, it is crazy how much food can help and how much you truly need sometimes, like, they eat a lot,
yeah. What about
a
you,
lot.
Gabe? Are you a big planner? Or?
Last year was the first year I ever had an opportunity to do it. I find myself I share a lot of connections, or I guess a lot of similarities to you. Where I grew up, it was only permission properties, and same thing, right? Like, I didn't want to push it. They were nice enough to let me hunt their land. I didn't want to give them a reason to really think about me all the time. It was more of like, I got the permission, like I'll talk to them, when I need to or when they want to. But other than that, like, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to, potentially do anything to get myself kicked off. So I always hunted natural movement. But, as I started working in the hunting industry, I met guys that they do that stuff for a living and they kill good deer. And, I wanted to try it. And last year I did it. I built 4 food plots from scratch that turned out really well and grew really well. And guess what? I did not kill a deer over them. So for
No,
what
but you
that's
had
worth, yeah.
you had good your dad killed a really nice buck off of one of your food plots, and you had some good bucks around, and the thing you ran
Yeah.
into there is you just didn't have enough time on that property, like, had you have been able to have that piece for 3 years and manage the herd a little bit, I think you'd have really had some good luck, but you
Yeah,
had
it was
beautiful, I mean, you had some of for the size of food plots you had some of the best food plots I've ever seen, like,
yeah,
whatever.
0 fertilizer, nothing. Just
Yeah, they
straight
were
up throwing seed. Yeah.
unbelievable, like, the size of the what were they? Radish turnips.
It's
Your
purple top turnips.
purple top turnips were crazy,
Yeah.
but
So
I got
there's
a,
a
I got a good little question for y'all. On
okay.
the same path y'all have any hunting tradition? Anything that either successful hunt or just a yearly tradition y'all got?
Gabe's is the timber tug.
I was no, I was gonna say before opening day of gun season every day, there's a song in my phone. I can't tell you who it's by. I'll find it, but it's called the Deer Hunter's National Anthem.
Mm,
And, it's like a guy out of his garage made a song, and it's the guy's name is Jeff Hunt. Deer Hunter National Anthem. And the first time I ever played that before a hunt was a joke, and it was the morning I killed my booner in Minnesota. So, every opener of gun season or whatever, that's my tradition. I play that song, and the last 2 years, my wife has killed a doe, then she killed a buck, and then opening day of gun season this year, my dad shot splits, which was the biggest deer on our lease. So, it's in my head where it's like that's my tradition is listening to that song. But
What he take?
what was it? It was 145 and some
I think he
change, I think
was
is what it
yeah,
was.
I think he was right at
146. I
about
don't remember exactly
145 or
that.
6, yeah.
But, I'm pretty sure that deer was only 3.5 year old, but that was the biggest scoring deer we had on the property all year. So
Where you been? You got any good traditions?
Well, I'm just watching this video holy smokes, that is a giant 6.
Send you that also. Well, if you have Gabe's number, text me. I don't think we have to air it out for
Yeah,
for the public to see. But
I'll text
I
it
just
to you
found
when
that
we get done.
I found that video that
Yeah,
sharing.
the Wisconsin gun
so
season.
mine is well, in Wisconsin, gun season is 9 days, and it's the Saturday before Thanksgiving to the Sunday after, and it's like tradition up there. So mine was always we'd listen to the Turkey Point Buck before going to deer camp or whatever. And then my newly found tradition. Do you know what Malort is, AJ?
What is it, Malort?
Malort, Malort, and it is
Malort.
the worst. It's a Chicago thing. It is the worst liquor that you will ever have in your entire life. Like it's not a vodka, it's not a whiskey. It's like it's its own thing, and it
It's
literally
like,
tastes like motor oil.
yeah, it's bad.
And my uncle's like, it's kind of his joke. Like when we go somewhere that has it, he'll buy somebody a shot of it or whatever. And before we went to Kansas a couple of years ago, he's like, "Well, we better do a shot of Malort for good luck." And I had never had it, so we took one, and I killed what on that trip was my biggest buck to date. And I'm like, "All right, Malort's good luck now." So now it's if I really get down to the dumps, I'm like, "All right, we got to find somewhere that has Malort. I need a shot. I need a shot of Malort."
It's bad.
What what about you?
I like. I really only do it if I have a successful hunt, but I like finding like little hole in the wall diners.
Mm-hmm.
If like I ever shoot a deer or a turkey, just 'cause it's always in the morning. But like hole in the wall breakfast, oh, dude, I'll sit there. Well, when I shot a buck in a different state, oh man, I was so proud of it. I had the antlers propped up out of the bed and went to like
Yeah.
some hole in the wall, or like when I shot my turkey, walking in all cameras, everybody's talking your ear off. It's always like the best cheap food anywhere around. And I'll
Yep.
sit there and have like my face off and drink a bunch of
Yeah.
coffee. But that's
Are you Are
That's
you
definitely
superstitious when it comes to hunting?
yeah.
Shit.
More about my clothes. I'm so anal about like my clothes live in one bin. Everything.
Mhm.
My bow lives in my truck all year, and like don't if I'm wearing my hunting clothes, don't touch me. Don't around me. Like I'll keep a pair of sweatpants in the truck. A pair of sweatpants on. I mean, it's really not a scent thing. It's like I'm not washing this until I kill a deer in it, and
Yeah.
yeah. I do like the same pair of socks thing, although last year I was like I would be going after work and be like wearing dress socks in the sand and stuff.
I
So
I used to be superstitious, and I'll end this podcast after this note, but I was super superstitious up until I killed my booner, where it was like, the scent spray, the everything. The biggest deer of my life, I killed wearing blue jeans, an orange sweatshirt, and 10 minutes before I killed that deer, I had to take a shit so bad. I squatted in the woods in shit, and I didn't have anything to wipe with, so I had to take my car keys, cut up my underwear, and they were like American Eagle or Aeropostale underwear, and I wore it around my head as a bandana. All the videos and pictures are proof of this. And I went and sat down on a log 10 yards away from this pile of shit. 10 minutes later, I shot that booner, and that booner was standing 5 feet from my freaking, cut up underwear on the ground. And I'm like, it don't matter. You don't need to wear camo. I'm like, you don't have to wear, like, just go shoot a
that's
deer. Just
that's
wild.
insane. What do they call shitting out of sand? Do you ever see that
Oh yeah, sky
working class
dumping.
boat? That
Sky
or mud
dump.
falcon? I've heard of a
Yeah,
mud.
mud falcon or sky dump. Yep.
Not that we wanna get into this on the podcast, but I have never met somebody who, like, it's like the the minute
All
the
right, it was good
minute
talking to you guys.
the minute that we get to the parking lot to hunt, every time Gabe has shit. Every time.
It
I
never
still have a
fails.
full roll of toilet paper in my truck from when we went out to North Dakota because it's literally every morning, like, we'd pull up to the spot and he'd be like, "All right, like, you gotta give me 5 minutes here, like, I gotta go down in the weeds."
Yeah, it's I could be up for 2 hours, like, beforehand, like, waiting to leave to go hunt, and I couldn't force it, but I swear to God, as soon as I hit the parking lot, every time. I don't know if it's nerves, anxiety, or I'm excited, but yeah, it's just how it works.
Well,
Oh,
on that note, should we
Yeah, we're
wrap
ta we're
this up?
talking shit, so we might as well start wrapping this up, but AJ, it was a pleasure having you on here, and, anybody that's listening, make sure you go on Instagram, follow Deer and Degrees, and you got a YouTube channel and stuff, right?
I do. We had a
Yep.
podcast for a while. Same thing. I've split up, but yeah, we're on YouTube too.
So, go give him a follow, and
Yeah.
you'll watch him shoot way bigger deer and harvest more deer than Ben and I combined, so, it'll be fun,
Thanks,
and
guys.
then
It was a blast.
yeah, and
Yeah,
everybody
we
stay
enjoyed
tuned.
having you.
Our PHC membership opportunity, you'll hear more details over the next month or so, but we're launching August 1st. So go to the website, check everything out, and stay tuned for that. There's some pretty epic stuff coming.
Yeah, and we'll have some sweet intro pricing too, so don't miss out on that.
Well,
Alright?
awesome. We'll see you guys on the
Good
next
stuff,
one.
guys. Take care. Thank you.